Good day, grade 8 learners, and welcome back to Thuma Mina Teaching. You are tuned into your first lesson of Term 2 of Economic Management Sciences, EMS. As you know, we've been focusing in this series on economics and entrepreneurship. But if you've been following us, you know that we have gone through the financial literacy playlist, and I do encourage all of you to go through it so you can ace the term. Now, we only have one lesson for this term, so stay tuned, bear with me, and stay encouraged. Let's go. Alright, grade 8 learners, in this lesson, we'll be focusing on the 4 factors of production. Now, you've already learned this before, but we'll go into further detail about it. Now, because you've already done this before, let's quickly review what are the 4 factors of production. Pause this video and explain to your teachers the 4 factors of production. In 3, 2, 1. Stop the video. Alright, grade 8 learners, did you get that right? Okay, let's go through it. The 4 factors of production are capital, natural resources, labor, and entrepreneurship. Well done. Now, let us focus on capital. Now, before we do that, who remembers our company, Brenda? If you have followed our financial literacy series, you'll remember that Brenda has always dreamed of opening her own bakery. After school, she completed a baking course and worked in a bakery for 3 years so that she could gain experience. She then finally felt ready to open her own bakery and named it Brenda. Okay, now back to capital. The word capital has many meanings, but I think the most easiest one to remember is that capital is money. Now, I'm sure, as you know, running a business, you need to have enough money to keep it operational. And so what capital is basically the money that is needed to keep the business going. When an entrepreneur starts a business, he or she can get money or capital from different sources. You can borrow capital or you can use from your own capital. Borrowed capital is any money that the entrepreneur borrows from someone else or another institution or business. When Brenda opened a bakery, she did not have enough capital of her own and had to borrow money from the bank. Without the bank's money, Brenda would not have been able to open a business of Brenda. Now, you need to realize, grade 8 learners, that there are many places in which someone can get their capital. Now, this includes many other financial institutions, including a bank which Brenda has used. Now, as an entrepreneur, you can also get money from family or even friends, but it is very important to be careful on how you use their money because it could lead to conflict or relationships being destroyed. Furthermore, grade 8 learners, the entrepreneur can use their own capital. As you can hear, it is own capital. So it is money that they have saved up or accumulated throughout the years and are using it to run and open their own business. Now, an entrepreneur can also borrow money from the bank and use it to open the business. But it's many cases that the bank wants the entrepreneur to at least have a portion of their own money in order for them to lend them the money or capital. Now, grade 8 learners, as an example, I remember myself as a younger kid and I wanted to purchase a PlayStation. So what I did, I took so much of my money and put it in my piggy bank to make sure I'm able to purchase it. And what I found is that I took better care of my PlayStation. And like an entrepreneur, when they use their own money from their own savings, they take better care of their businesses and ensure they achieve success. Okay, now let's move over to the next factor of production, which is labor. Labor is a very important factor of production because without laborers, the business cannot continue to operate. Labor refers to the physical and intellectual input of people in the production of products and the delivery of services. I wonder then, grade 8s, how many of your parents form part of the physical labor, intellectual labor, or even both? Now, we would love to know, so drop your comments on the comment section below and please let us know. Besides the division of labor through physical and intellectual labor, it is important to note that there's also categories in the skills and abilities of employees. Now, there are 3 categories. Number 1 is skilled labor, semi-skilled labor, and unskilled labor. Let's first have a look at unskilled labor. Unskilled labor refers to workers who have no skills training or experience in a particular work environment. This type of laborer's work involves performing simple tasks and duties. Examples of unskilled labor are cleaners, general farm workers, sweepers, and loaders. In South Africa, we have plenty of unskilled laborers, but the only problem, grade 8 learners, is that they struggle to find work. So it is very important for you to ensure that you work extra hard to ensure you upskill yourself to become a skilled worker so that it is easier for you to find work. Let's move over to semi-skilled labor. Semi-skilled labor refers to workers who have received some training to carry out tasks with the help of simple tools and machinery. Drivers, cashiers, and petrol attendants are all examples of semi-skilled people. Let's move over to the last skill level, skilled labor. Skilled labor is any worker with a special skill, knowledge, or special ability acquired in his work. Most skilled workers have received an after-school education at a university, college, or technicon so that they are equipped to perform their work. Skilled labor is the most expensive labor, and therefore businesses must make sure they hire the right candidates for skilled jobs. Computer programmers, chefs, hairdressers, doctors, and teachers are all examples of skilled labor. Now, as an entrepreneur, Brenda has decided to hire a pastry chef and another cleaner. Now pause this video and discuss in class in which category does the pastry chef fall under and which category does the cleaner fall under. Now remember class, the 3 categories are skilled labor, semi-skilled labor, and unskilled labor. Let us go. Alright learners, let us go through the answers. As you know, a pastry chef is a skilled labor and a cleaner is an unskilled labor. I'm sure you got that correct. Now, before we move over to the next factor of production, let us look at the role of employees in the business. Now learners, as you know, without employees, a business cannot exist. Now it is very important that businesses create an environment where they hire the right people. Most importantly, managers have a job to create a friendly environment so that the employees are trained well, their needs are met, and so they can be productive in the business. Businesses should see this almost as an investment in their business. The happier the employees are, the more it encourages them to work harder and more productive the employees become. The happier the employee is, the more productive they are. However, we know that employers can sometimes treat employees not in the right manner. And so government steps in and ensures that there are laws that are put in place so that employers act accordingly. Laws such as the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, which focuses on fair working hours, leave, minimum wage, etc., as well as the Employment Equity Act with a focus on affirmative action, and the Labor Relations Act, which tries to stabilize relations in the workplace, are all examples of laws that have to do with the employees in the workplace. So what happens when the employer and the employee do not agree? Then the institution called the CCMA steps in. Their job is to act independently of the government, any political party or business, so that they can act objectively in their decision making. Their job is to ensure they resolve any labor-related disputes or conflicts. Alright learners, let's move over to natural resources. Natural resources are unprocessed products from nature. Natural resources can come from the sea or the earth. Let's see how many natural resources you can think of. Write them down and I'll give you 10 seconds to write as many as you can. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Nice one, grade 8 learners. Now, did you think of some of these natural resources? Some of these natural resources can be used as is, such as fruit, but some of them need to be processed, such as gold, wood, and oil. I think you can agree with me that most of Bake at Brenda's resources need to be processed first before the client can enjoy them. Examples are the coffee, the tea, and the pastries. Now, natural resources can be divided into renewable resources and non-renewable resources. But what does this actually mean? Examples of renewable natural resources are trees. It can be cut off, but it grows back. Fish are caught, but they can reproduce. Other products such as coal, natural gas, and gold are non-renewable. This means that when the products are used, they cannot be replaced again. Therefore, we must ensure we work sparingly with these natural resources. Otherwise, one of these days, we will run out of these resources to produce goods with. Alright, grade 8 learners, let's move over to our last factor of production, which is entrepreneurship. Now, entrepreneurship is the factor of production that harnesses all the other factors of production, that is labor, natural resources, and capital. They basically combine these to ensure they produce goods and services. A very important characteristic of an entrepreneur is that they are willing to take risks. Now, just like Brenda, who took time to ensure that she knows exactly what she's working with, she went through a 3-year process of learning how to bake and how to run a business before venturing on her own. Now, today, Brenda is grateful that she has done that and now that she's running her own business. An entrepreneur is also hardworking, innovative, motivated, and are able to work on their own. Now, to tell you the truth, they like to be their own boss. Entrepreneurs are scarce nowadays because a few people are willing to take the risk. Now, who of you are wanting to be like a Brenda one day? Now, do you possess the qualities of an entrepreneur? Now, if you are watching this video today and you are potentially a young entrepreneur, let us know on the comment section below. Now, grade 8 learners, we'll look at the last part for our lesson today. Now, this is the compensation of the factors of production. As we know, each factor of production requires compensation. For example, we know that laborers are compensated through salaries or wages. Now, it's important, grade 8 learners, that we notice that there's a distinction in how employees are compensated. So this is influenced by their skill level and the demand for their skill. So what will capital compensation be? It is interest. Interest is the compensation for capital. When it comes to borrowing money, the entrepreneur will have to pay the money they borrowed plus interest. So the compensation for the banks is the interest. So what about the entrepreneur's own capital? So who gets the interest then? The entrepreneur, of course. Now, speaking of the entrepreneur, let's move over to the entrepreneur's compensation. The entrepreneur's compensation is the profit they make. The entrepreneur receives compensation when the business makes the profit. And finally, grade 8 learners, let us look at natural resources. The compensation for natural resources is rent. If businesses own land, which is a natural resource, they can rent it out and thus receive compensation for it. Okay, just before we end this lesson for today, I want to quickly test you on what we've learned today. So behind me is a table with a few missing words. Take some time and write out quickly on what is missing on the table. Do so in 3, 2, 1. And that's that, grade 8 learners. We have come to the end of our lesson and the end of term 2 series. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Remember, if there's anything you do not understand at the moment, continue to watch this video over and over. Alternatively, look through the self-marking assessment right over here. And if you like this lesson and would like to support Thuma Mina Teaching, you can head to the link below to buy me a coffee. Thank you so much once again, grade 8 learners. We'll see you next time.